Right then guys, in this video we're going to explain to you everything you need to know about calories and how they affect your weight. The first thing we're going to start with is what are calories, or kcals, as you might see on the back of packages, and which is what something you'll be getting used to seeing quite a lot of. Basically, calories are what our bodies use for energy. So every time you eat something or drink something that's got calories in, your body's going to convert that into energy. So whether that be running the organs in your body, repairing your muscles, or helping you run a 10K, that's what our body is going to use. Like I say, you get your calories from food sources, and your body will use them and break them down. And it can also take them from fat stores. So when you consume calories and your body doesn't need to use them and it fills up your muscles and everything's full up, your body's really good at keeping hold of them, and that's how you accrue fat. So ultimately those calories are stored in the form of fat around your body. Basically then, when you need to use it, or if you haven't got any calories in your bloodstream at the time, your body can break them down, those fat stores, and turn them into calories or energy for you to burn during exercise. So how does this affect your weight? In simple terms, your body will use a certain amount of energy per day, okay? And we can equate that in calories. So my body, my height, my weight will naturally burn a certain amount throughout the day. If I eat the same amount as what I burn, that's known as maintenance calories. So I'm eating the same amount as I burn to maintain the same weight, or this will maintain my current weight. If I eat less calories than I burn, then I will be in what's known as a calorie deficit. This means losing weight, okay? And then finally, we have a calorie surplus, which is eating more calories than I burn on a daily basis, which will encourage weight gain, okay? It's that simple. This is how calories affect weight. And this is what you always need to remember when we use terms such as calorie deficit or calorie surplus or maintenance. Calorie deficit is what will put you in to lose weight. Just to recap, calorie surplus will encourage you to gain weight, and maintenance calories should keep you roughly about the same. Now we know how calories affect your weight, we need to look at how we calculate those calories. So as I briefly mentioned earlier on in the video, there's a few components that go into calculating your weight and why it's different, calculating your calories and why it's different for each individual. So the things that we need to calculate calories are your age, your height, your weight, your gender, and your general activity level. So maybe what you do for a living, how active you are on a daily basis. Okay, so the first thing we need to work out is what's known as your BMR. Your BMR stands for your base metabolic rate. In layman's terms, this basically means what your body will burn just to sustain itself each day without you adding on any exercise or any activity. So just to support your organs and just your being alive and your existence each day. That's known as your BMR, your base metabolic rate. The calculator we have below on the page will give you your BMR. Once we've got our BMR, so our metabolic rate, what we burn in calories at rest, we then need to find out our TDEE, okay, which is total daily energy expenditure. All right, so this basically takes our calories burnt at rest, and now we're going to add on the activity and how busy we are in the day and the calories we burn through those activities. So if, for example, you have a desk job, you're going to burn far less calories than somebody who is a manual labourer, for example, who works on a building site, who's constantly fetching and carrying. They're going to burn a lot more calories, okay? So how we do this is by using an activity multiplier. So this is basically either 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 or 1.6. So ultimately, say your BMR is 2,000 calories, we'll times it by one of those numbers, and they equate to how active you are on a daily basis. So at 1.3, we're talking pretty much sat down doing nothing all day. 1.4 is a bit more like an office job. So you sat down the majority of the day, but you are getting up and down, maybe doing bits and bobs, obviously nipping to the toilet and things like that. 1.5, We're more talking someone now who's going to be on their feet most of the day, maybe a retail worker, perhaps a nurse, someone who's getting quite a lot of steps in, perhaps just on a daily basis. And 1.6, we're referring to someone who is very active, maybe like a personal trainer who's teaching classes all day, getting quite a bit of exercise in, or somebody who has a manual labour job, like we discussed before, and is fetching and carrying all day. So we times our BMR number. So let's say for me, for example, let's say my BMR was 2,000 calories. I'm going to times that by, let's say, 1.5, pretty active. And that will then give me my total daily energy expenditure number. So that will give me my calories that I should roughly burn in total each day. Now, the next part is all relative to our goal. So we've got our TDEE number, we've got the amount of calories we're burning each day. Now, it all depends on what our goal is. So if I want to lose weight, I'm going to have to be in a calorie deficit. What we give you here is a 500 calorie deficit. So if we go back to what my number was, or my theoretical number was of 2,500 calories burned per day, I want to make sure I'm beneath that number and I'm in a calorie deficit. So we're going to take 500 calories off that. So I'll be effectively eating 2,000 calories per day. This means I'm burning more calories than I'm consuming, and therefore my body is going to have to use my fat stores to fuel itself. This is how you're going to lose weight. The body's going to eat away those fat stores because I'm constantly just underfeeding it, but in a healthy enough way that we're losing weight and we're not doing it in an unhealthy way. So when we talk about this and why we give you a 500 calorie deficit is because it's healthy weight loss. It works on the theory of losing roughly around a pound a week, okay? When you first start, you might notice that you lose a little bit more than this initially, and it also depends on how much weight you are carrying in excess and how much you may have to lose. But a healthy amount works out to roughly about 500 calorie deficit per day. Across the week, that equals roughly about a pound of fat loss per week. We're always looking in around that 1 to 2 pounds over the long term per week of weight loss. If we're seeing a lot more than that over a long period of time, then we might need to look at why that is so, and we're getting into the realms of potentially unhealthy weight loss where you're probably having muscle wastage, and you're probably feeling fatigued and your body's not really functioning at its optimal level whilst losing weight. And ultimately we want you to be able to feel fit enough, well enough, healthy enough to go about your everyday life, come into the gym and crush your workouts whilst also trying to achieve your goals. We play the long game. We try to lose a pound, 2 pounds a week, sort of rough average over the long term, and that's going to keep us nice and healthy, nice and energized whilst hitting our goals. So that's calorie deficit. If we're looking to put weight on, or if we're not looking to put weight on, but we're just looking as an explanation as to why we have put weight on, the next thing we'll talk about is calorie surplus. So this, like explained earlier, is when you're eating more than you burn. So if we're looking to put weight on, or maybe we're looking to build a bit more muscle, or like I say, we are just literally looking to just put some weight on, we'll generally go for anywhere between 250 calories to a 500 calorie surplus. So that 2,500 maintenance number that I had from earlier, my TDEE number, I'm going to add on 250 to 500 calories more. So maybe 2,750 calories eaten, or even up to 3,000 calories to try and increase my weight. Okay? Again, the same with that. If we're trying to do it healthy and we're trying to look to build muscle, we don't want to increase it by too much. And again, if our weight is piling on really quickly, then there's a good chance we're building lots of fat rather than muscle, as muscle takes a lot longer to add on, and it will take more time, and we'll try to use a lower surplus number than we would the deficit, just because we're trying to minimize the amount of fat we put on along with trying to build that muscle. The final one is the maintenance calories. So we're not going to add or remove anything if you just want to stay the same. So once you've found out your total daily energy expenditure number, roughly 2,500 calories a day is what I need to sustain where I'm at right now. If I'm happy with that, that's all I've got to eat. So here we've got a basic picture explaining what we've just been through. So we do our calculation, our TDEE number at the end of it all comes out at 2,500 calories. That is our calorie maintenance number. So we eat that amount, we eat the same amount as we burn, we're going to roughly stay the same weight. Above that, we have a calorie surplus. So if we eat in excess of what we burn, we're going to be looking at putting weight on, whether that be fat or whether we're intentionally doing that to try and build some extra muscle. And then beneath that, we have the calorie deficit. So we're going to put you in a 500 calorie deficit. So you'd be down at 2,000 calories. We're going to eat beneath what we burn. So we're going to be burning off the excess fat on our bodies. It's that simple, guys. Once we've worked out what our body requires, we then eat towards our goal, whether that be calorie surplus or calorie deficit.